What would it take to sell to reduce this position? What would it take? What would you need to see? Because for many people, they've seen enough, and you clearly haven't. What would it take?
Yeah, I think what you have to see is an inability to repair the organization.
But haven't we seen evidence of that, David?
If that becomes the case, an inability to repair the organization, this is the case, then we have to re-examine this investment. But at this stage, we believe this company is repairable. There are some strong building blocks, and they just have to clean up the people who are responsible for accepting a culture that doesn't balance risk and return.
David, forgive me for saying this, but there are some people that might believe that your position in the company rewards that behavior too, because you've been so patient. Now, I understand from your perspective, you think you can be part of the solution. Do you also accept that maybe that your tolerance and patience with this business might be part of the problem too?
I don't really accept that, because we've tried our best, as you recall last year, to instill a major change, and we didn't do it. So I suppose you could argue, so when TM left and Roner stayed, maybe we should have left. But, you know, we're investors, we're not traders. We look at businesses, we look at the potential, we look at the price of the business, and you always have to consider the price you pay for what you get. And so at that stage, we decided to give it a chance, to give Mr. Gottenstein a chance. We thought, well, Mr. Roner's leaving in a year. Now, in hindsight, you know, that perhaps that was a mistake. That Mr. Roner, you know, shouldn't have left in a year, and we should have maybe been more forceful. But we were as forceful as we could have been. We lost. We had over 20% of the shareholder base. And, you know, outsiders in any country, I've been international investing since 1986. One should never underestimate home field advantage. And if you're a foreign shareholder, you're always at a little bit of a disadvantage. And we didn't have enough Swiss support. And I don't know why.
Do you think you have that support now?
I certainly think it's open eyes up in Switzerland.
I just wonder whether people think you might be becoming married to this position, David. Just let me ask that question, because we've touched on this before. Do you think there is a risk that you've become married to this position?
Well, we don't like to marry ourselves to any position.
Nobody does.
We do. What we like to do is consider cost-benefit, risk-return. And we have, in numerous occasions in our history, have become unmarried to stocks we've owned. Each company, each situation is unique and is different. And what we will do is look forward to determine whether we should stay invested in a firm. Marriage is not the quite correct term for how we invest as long-term value investors. If we no longer find value, or if we believe that the management team we are invested with are not capable of producing value in the future, then we will sell the stock.
David, just a final question from me, if I can.
Yeah, I was going to say, at this stage, we're not there with Credit Suisse. We think there are the building blocks, and hopefully this is a wake-up call to expedite the cultural change that's needed in this company.
I hear that, and apologies for the delay between the connection between you and I. Just a final question, David. On the buyback plan, $1.6 billion worth, still buying back the stock. Would you support a pause there, just to stop, scrap that?
Well, I think until we can determine the losses, the prudent thing to do is to pause the stock buyback.
You surprised they haven't?
What was that?
Are you surprised that they haven't done that, David?
I don't know if they have or haven't. I think the last thing we heard was a week or two ago where they still were. We haven't heard, as a result of the announcement they had Monday on the loss. And I think they're still probably dealing with the positions from the hedge fund. And I think until there's clarity on the loss, I think one should be prudent.
David, in 20 seconds, if you can, just to squeeze this one out, are you surprised that they still haven't unwound this position yet, when other banks have?
Well, I'm not sure if they have or haven't. And I don't think they've made an announcement as to whether they have or haven't.
That's confusing in and of itself.
I can't comment on that. I can't comment.